Thank you for joining us here for Live Impact News on 13 News Now Plus. My name is Eugene Daniel in our streaming studios in Hampton Roads, Virginia. I'm joined by producer Sarah Calloway, meteorologist Taylor Stephenson. We're going to get to Taylor in just a few seconds. I want to let you know right now, we still have areas here in the Hampton Roads greater region impacted by that winter storm over the weekend. I'm specifically talking about the Eastern Shore. If we can go ahead and pull that graphic up, Sarah. Right now, as of right now, 10:01 this morning, we still have more than 2,200 customers who are on the Eastern Shore who do not have power. This is a real-time look at those outages there in Accomack County, in Northampton County. That is where we're seeing the issues right now. And I can tell you, Accomack County is still under a local state of emergency at this point. With officials there saying they're having troubles with those power outages, but also some of the remains of all of that snow and the ice has made it very difficult for their crews to address that. So listen up, if you're in that area this morning, there are warming shelters for at least another hour till 11 a.m. That are available for those who do not have power or do not have access to heat and electricity. Those warming shelters are at Arcadia High School and Nandua High School. Those have been open for people until 11 o'clock today. And of course, I bet that they will look at everything and where they are in the next hour or so and see if they need to reassess. But if you're in those areas, you don't have power, you need somewhere to go, at least for the next hour, to take a shower, something of that nature, you should be able to have those resources available for you at Arcadia High School and Nandua High School there on the Eastern Shore. It was still cold this morning, and I imagine that could have played a role in some of that snow and ice that could be there on the Eastern Shore, not yet quite going away. With that, we have meteorologist Taylor Stephenson. And Taylor, I knew it was going to be cold this morning. I know it's been cold as of late the last several months, whatever. But something about this morning, I just was like, man, is it not over yet?
Oh, really? This is probably one of the better days to me. I've had some mornings, especially the weekend mornings, where, my eyes were watering because it was just so cold and so windy. A couple of Saturdays the past month or two where, it was just brutally cold. So, yeah, the winter chill is still here, but just briefly, we're going to get a nice, good warm-up for tomorrow. Here's a look at our satellite and radar, and I want to take you through what I'm seeing here. So this is the nor'easter up here that's now affecting portions of extreme southeastern Canada, where they picked up a good amount of snow as well as it continues to move to the north and east. I want to see if our satellite is showing the snow on the ground. Let's see if it will. And you can see here in places like Boston and into portions of the area where Massachusetts and even into Providence, Rhode Island, where we are seeing some areas now with our satellite and radar showing the snow on the ground here. So I'm going to take out my little clicker and pointer here, and look how you can see the clouds moving there. This on the ground near Middleborough, and then near Brockton and Providence, where you can see the piles of snow popping up there on the radar. Those like patchy white spots. That's snow.
Oh, that's what that is?
Yeah, you see how you can see the clouds moving over that? Those are clouds. On the ground where you're just seeing the sunlight come up, those are areas of snow.
Oh, that's really cool. I didn't realize it could show you that.
Mm-hmm. Because remember, the snow in white colors are highly reflective. Mm-hmm. And so it will bounce back and show the snow on the ground. So you can see the snow there in portions of the Northeast.
Okay.
So let's see if we can see any on the Eastern Shore. I'm going to move this back here and go towards Accomack County on the Eastern Shore. And you can see it showing up here as well. That's like the Maryland Eastern Shore. Here is Accomack County. And you can see areas on the eastern sides of the county where the snow is showing up. Look how it just brightens up right there east of I-13. Mm-hmm. Highway 13. So snow is still on the ground in those areas. But as you see, Hampton Roads as a whole, not really too much going on here as skies continue to clear. We'll have a lot of sunshine here for our area, but the sunshine will help to really melt some of these areas. I have been dealing with some concerns for ice this morning in the eastern shore, around the middle peninsula, northern neck, portions of the extreme northern peninsula. I haven't heard of any too bad of ice situations in those areas, but be careful on local bridges and overpasses, especially on the eastern shore, where temperatures today will struggle to make it above freezing. Now, for the rest of the area, we'll make it above freezing, but we'll be chillier than normal. Temperatures about 10 to 15 degrees below normal for this time of year, in the lower 40s to middle 40s. Tomorrow, though, we're back near normal, and we'll stay there for a couple of days. But speaking of the next really 3 days, on Thursday, I am tracking a chance for some rain, and that rain will be beneficial. So here's a look at the Tuesday forecast here in Hampton Roads and northeastern North Carolina, and you can see that the temperatures will be in the near freezing range for right now. We'll slowly warm up to the upper 30s by lunchtime today, and then those northwest winds will slowly subside and actually change to the west. And we'll see that wind change throughout the day. That wind change will actually help to pump in warmer air later on tonight into tomorrow morning. High today, the lower to middle 40s, as I just mentioned. We'll have increasing cloud cover later on tonight. But look at these southwest winds. They start to get a bit breezy, and that will start to pull in some warmer air. So tomorrow morning, we're starting off just a few degrees above freezing. But by the afternoon, we finally make it to the mid-50s after about 3 days below that mark of normal high temperatures. We should be somewhere in the 55 to 56 degree range for late February, early March, and we'll make it there tomorrow. Now, we'll be very cloudy for tomorrow morning through the early afternoon. It's not until the middle of the afternoon through the later on in the evening where we see some peaks of sunshine before clouds start to clear out later on after sunset. So overall, not a bad day. It just won't be as sunny as today. Now, looking ahead to your Thursdays when the rain starts to build in, the new model's backing off on the earlier rain and saying the rain will most likely come after the morning commute. So that's good news, but expect rain throughout the day on Thursday, and the rain will actually move this time from south to north. So for northeastern North Carolina, you'll get the rain first. South side gets the rain next. Peninsulas get the rain last, and the rain will linger around the peninsula through early Friday morning with a few scattered showers for the rest of the area around the south side and northeastern North Carolina through the overnight into early Friday morning. But also, southwest winds come back again. Could we have temperatures on Friday morning in the lower 60s? It's a possibility.
Oh, lower 60s. Okay.
Well, I was saying, wait, whoa. I was
For a second there, I anticipated, and I was like, I thought you were going to say, could we come in at lower 30s? That was what in my brain. That's how traumatized I am right now.
You're traumatized, but you're not actively
60s,
listening.
60s, I'm good. Take back my boo.
Anyways.
I took back my boo.
Good. Because I'm about to say, if you're going to boo 60s, the 30s will come right back just because you did that. Just because you did that.
Oh, please, Karma, don't do.
Yeah, Karma. She is someone that is going to make sure that you know her name. Okay.
All right. Well, Mother Nature, take over.
Mother Nature says maybe lower 60s. Okay, so nothing to boo there, but we'll see. Temperatures may fall throughout the day as our system rolls through. Where I am expecting some temperatures in the 40s, maybe during the afternoon. Okay, now we get into how much rainfall we could see. Anywhere from maybe 1 to 2 inches area wide for the south side, northeastern North Carolina. Peninsula's a little bit lower, maybe half an inch to an inch of rainfall. In some places, a quarter inch to an inch. It just really depends. And of course, this only goes out for this forecast. It does go out a little bit further, so I'll actually stretch it out into Friday night, and you can see rainfall totals not really changing much as we get into Friday night, Saturday morning. But that takes me to my next point, the 5 to 7 day forecast, where the weekend finally looks nice. Finally, after multiple weekends of either brutal cold, rain and snow, or both.
Kept me inside.
I know, right? Same. And now we're back in the middle to upper 50s for the weekend with partly sunny, partly cloudy skies. So it should be a really nice weekend for us. So I encourage you to get outside because by early next week, temperatures cool back down to the 40s again.
Borderline boo for me on the back end, the 40s on the back end.
Okay.
Borderline. I said borderline, not quite a boo.
Okay.
I took back my boo. 60s are more like a boo thing, if you understand what I'm saying.
Oh, my gosh. Anyways.
No, but that's good. You know, and I obviously I'm sitting there thinking about our people in on the Eastern Shore this morning. You were showing the images. That's about as best as we can do, too, with your overhead, because we don't have cameras live right now that can show you the Eastern Shore. So I'm really glad that you showed, you know, that we could still see the white areas, which lets us know there's still snow on the ground there in the Eastern Shore, enough that it reflects to where we see it on the radar.
It reflects all the way back to space from the satellite, which is insane. But also, too, officials have warned, I mean, at least that was released Sunday night into Monday morning, of not traveling on the Eastern Shore because of those issues. But of course, you know, our thoughts are with those people on the Eastern Shore who are still struggling without any power or any heat at the moment because, like I said, the Eastern Shore will be one of the areas today that will be the coldest as temperatures struggle to make it above freezing.
And you know what? Here's the thing, though. I know if you're on the Eastern Shore, hang in there, all right? They are working to do their best with you when it comes to not only clearing everything, but getting your power back on, especially if you're amongst those 2,200. But if you're, you know, anywhere else other than that, hey, listen, we can say this, at least we are not Philadelphia, as we can take a live look here at the a shot there. That's live in the Philly area. You see all of that snow that they are dealing with out there? I mean, we're talking a lot. We think about other places. Rhode Island got more than 33 inches of snow. I think it was 37 is where I think one of the things I've read near the airport there in Rhode Island. And another place that got hit hard, how about New Jersey, where my sister lives? And right now we have the governor of New Jersey, Governor Sherrill, and other officials who are giving updates on what they are telling their residents there. So let's listen in now on what's going on along the East Coast with these areas that have really been hit hard by this blizzard.
The state has seen in nearly 30 years, and our transportation agencies were ready. At the height of the storm, nearly 5,300 personnel from New Jersey DOT, the New Jersey Turnpike Authority, and the South Jersey Transportation Authority were deployed across the state, plowing, treating, clearing debris, and coordinating our traffic management centers alongside state police and towing partners. We pushed thousands of pieces of equipment into service to bring our highways and toll roads back down to safe driving conditions. To the public, thank you for staying off the roads. Your help made our crews' response safer and more effective. And as travel resumes, please clear all snow and ice from your vehicle, slow down, be alert for any refreeze as temperatures drop. Our work continues. Crews remain on duty, and we are monitoring conditions closely. If towns or counties need assistance on local roads, please continue working through your county emergency management offices. And with additional snow forecasted, we are prepared, and our focus remains clear. Protect public safety and keep New Jersey moving. Thank you.
Thanks, Commissioner. I told Commissioner Jane I was hiring her because she had such a wealth of knowledge and experience. I wanted her to hit the ground running. I'm not sure she thought it was going to involve this, but thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And next, Chris Kalori.
Governor, thank you. Thank you for your military planning and execution during this extraordinary storm. I want to join the governor in thanking my colleagues. They haven't slept in 48 hours at the Turnpike, at Parkway, and at Transit. And the fact that they were prepared for and they've helped us recover in such an expeditious manner is a remarkable testament to their skill. As of 11 p.m. last night,
so they're having to roll out their plan there in New Jersey and likewise in Pennsylvania and other places. I'm sure Rhode Island, I can't imagine what they have. But, you know, when we look at the temperatures being a real issue for a lot of those eastern coast places because they have the snow, you wanted to get out there sometime. Right. But what are we looking like across the board, though, for temperatures at this point, Taylor?
So good news is they should rise slightly above freezing today. Here's a look at the current temperatures, though, at the moment. You can see places like New York City stuck in the mid-20s. So anything that's on the ground, obviously not melting at this point. But by the afternoon, they should rise to the mid-30s. But you can see the entire United States this morning is not the warmest. I mean, even down into Orlando, they're in the mid-40s. So, I mean, I'm sure they're waking up and they're freezing as well because 40s for Florida is very low for those those areas, even out to Los Angeles, starting off in the mid 50s. I mean, no place on this map showing me at the moment, which I'm sure there are places further south towards the U.S.-Mexico border, probably in the 60s. But from this map showing the major cities across the U.S., nobody's showing 60s at the moment.
And look at our home area, Atlanta, Georgia, at 33. You know they are acting out, showing out down there at 33 degrees.
Yeah.
Don't know how to act. So it is just cold across the board at this point. Can't wait until we get more consistent, warmer summer type temperatures, and hopefully it will come real soon. Good weekend though ahead, as Taylor says, and that is great. Speaking of ahead, we need to take a quick break, and we'll be right back with more here on Live Impact News. Good morning. You're watching Live Impact News on 13 News Now Plus. We appreciate you for watching us live, or if you're watching us on YouTube right now. It is a busy day in our nation's capital. In just hours later tonight, 9 o'clock, we're going to hear from the president in his first official State of the Union address in his second term. Well, right now we have GOP leadership who are speaking from a podium. They just walked up. We expect to hear a few different things, but most notably what they are hoping to hear later on tonight, I assume. But let's listen to what they are saying as they are talking live.
Our country. And with that, I'm going to switch gears and talk a little bit about the State of the Union tonight. You know, President Trump is going to tell the truth that the media won't tell. The state of our union is strong, and it is getting stronger. Let's be clear about what we walked into. When President Trump began his second term, he didn't inherit a smooth runway. He inherited a complete disaster. But he's delivering results. Under Democratic rule, reckless spending lit inflation to a 40-year high. Under President Trump and Republicans, inflation has fallen to 2.4%, a 70% drop from its peak. That's not luck, ladies and gentlemen. That's leadership. Under Democrats, 20 million illegal immigrants poured through our open borders. And thanks to President Trump and Republicans, Remain in Mexico is back, Catch and Release is dead, and we've had 9 straight months of zero releases. The border is safe and secure. And that's not luck, that's leadership. Under Democrats, radical overregulation sent gas prices through the roof. Under President Trump and Republicans, gas prices are at a 4-year low, and Americans' energy is roaring back. That's not luck, that's leadership. The bottom line is this: Republican leadership is working. Maybe not for the Washington bureaucrats, but it is working for the American people. And today, I want to introduce you to one of them. Standing next to me is Ben Hockenberry, a constituent of mine from Lake Orion, a West Point grad, father and small business owner. At Artemis Search Group, Ben helps American manufacturers grow and veterans find meaningful careers when they come home. Because of working families' tax cuts, Ben gets a small business deduction where he can reinvest, used to hire and actually grow his business here in America. And as a father of 3, he keeps more of his paycheck thanks to the expanded child care tax credit. And all 3 of his kids are eligible for the new Trump's savings account, jump-starting their own American dream. And Ben isn't the only one. Last week it was reported tax refunds are up 11% this year. That's real money back in your pockets. But again, you don't need to hear it from me. Ben is right here. So I'm going to yield the floor to him to share what these policies mean for him and his family. Ben?
Thank you, Congressman.
Here, let me move this for you. I don't need that.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. As the Congresswoman said, my name is Ben Hockenberry, and I am a proud small business owner from Lake Orion, Michigan, and a constituent of Congresswoman Lisa McClain. I own Artemis Search Group. We are an executive search firm that places veterans getting out of the military into jobs, specifically into the manufacturing segment. Like so many other business owners, the last few years have been working harder and harder just to stay even. And
Okay, so you heard there, right? GOP leadership talking ahead. I mean, the timing was perfect on our end, Sarah. At this point, they went straight into the State of the Union address tonight. Again, that'll be 9 o'clock that you can watch that. President Trump expected to speak on a variety of things, but particularly this is a very important time, right, where the Trump administration is wanting to regather that support amongst its base, amongst others, just months ahead of those midterm elections that have been the center focus of many states changing, including here in Virginia, trying to change around their congressional districts. That midterm election is huge. The administration is trying to push forward with momentum as we get closer and closer to that later on this year. With more on what we are expected to hear from President Trump, we do have words that were recorded from Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt. We're going to share that for you right now. And then after that, we're going to hear from some of the Democrats and what they expect to either hear or not hear ahead of tonight's State of the Union address. But for now, here's Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt just moments ago outside of the White House.
You'll hear the president tout the accomplishments overseas of the United States military over the past year under his leadership, one of which, of course, was Operation Midnight Hammer. You'll hear the president proudly and rightfully say that the United States military is the strongest and most lethal fighting force in the world. And you will hear him talk about the threats that remain abroad, but what the United States is doing to ensure that not only America is the safest country in the world, but remains the strongest country in the world.
Does he consider Iran a threat that remains abroad?
Well, look, Iran chants death to America, so you tell me if that's a threat. Elena.
I wanted to ask about if the president is expected to address the DHS shutdown during his speech today, and also if you could clarify what happened on Sunday with the TSA pre-check lines being closed and then having that decision reversed.
Sure. He will call on Democrats in Congress to reopen the Department of Homeland Security. It's despicable that they have shut down this agency that is responsible not just for the deportations of murderers and criminals whom none of you, including Democrat politicians, would want living in your communities, but also FEMA, who is on the ground in the Northeast right now, restoring electricity and power for families who have been impacted by the blizzard. You look at your United States Coast Guard, men and women who are not being being paid because of Democrat politicians who have shut down the Department of Homeland Security, the United States Secret Service, which of course is essential to protecting the President of the United States. They just did honorably this past weekend when an armed crazy person intruded at the President's personal property in Florida. These are great men and women who are working around the clock to keep our homeland safe, and it's terrible that Democrat politicians have shut them down. And it is impacting TSA as well, which is why they have been updating the guidance. As for internal deliberations on that, I would defer you to the Department of Homeland Security directly. But of course, there is going to be an impact at airports when you shut down the department that's responsible for funding TSA agents and providing them their paychecks. And it's an unfortunate consequence, and it's completely avoidable if Democrats do the right thing and get these great men and women paid. No, the president's initial statement, and the president reiterated that statement last night on True Social, that Operation Midnight Hammer was an overwhelmingly successful mission that did, in fact, obliterate Iran's nuclear facilities. That is not just verified by the President of the United States, but also the International Atomic Energy Commission as well. That does not mean that Iran may never try again to establish a nuclear program that could directly threaten the United States and our allies abroad, and that's what the president wants to ensure can never happen again. And just one more note, but with respect to Iran, before I run into my morning meeting, President Trump's first option is always diplomacy. But as he has shown, he is willing to use the lethal force of the United States military if necessary. So it's always the president is always the final decision maker around here. And I've seen a lot of sensationalist reporting over the past day that is just completely untrue. And anyone speculating to the media, hiding behind an anonymous source, pretending to know what President Trump is thinking or a decision he will make with respect to action against Iran has no idea what they're talking about.
Okay, so there you heard from the press secretary, Caroline Leavitt. We'll focus here on what she was talking about for the State of the Union address for later on today. And I want to put out, looking at the president's job performance right now, a poll that was released by Fox News. This is a Fox News poll coming in just about a few weeks ago, the latest one that we have here on record from them. It says overall job performance, the administration was at 56% of people disapproved, with 44% people approving of that. Okay, so at the moment, this is, again, that's the latest poll that we have here that was published just this week, but conducted a few weeks ago. 56% of people, according to a Fox News poll, say they approve of the overall job performance. There is a majority of those who are polled in this who approve of border security. 52% over 47% is approving. When it comes to immigration, it is 55% of those polled disapprove of what the president has currently done when it comes to the tactics behind immigration. When it comes to Iran, she was just talking about Iran, 57% of those polled. Again, this is a Fox News poll. 57% of those polled disagree with how the president is going things on that. Economy, 59% disapprove of that. So interesting when we look at a lot of this tariffs, it gets more and more people. If you look at tariffs, they disapprove 63%, Greenland 67%, inflation 65%. So the president really is going to have to work tonight to strike gold and convince not only particularly Americans, but definitely his base as well, that it is still on the right track according to what he said he was going to do here in the country. So interesting to look at those polling numbers. Again, that's from Fox News there that I am calling out for you. At this time, we need to take a quick break, but we still haven't heard from Democrats ahead of tonight's State of the Union address that the president is set to give. On the back end of this break, we'll share from you what we expect to hear from the person who's going to be giving the Democratic rebuttal, the governor of Virginia, Abigail Spanberger, and we'll hear from a Democratic congressman here in Virginia, Bobby Scott. Big day in Washington, D.C. Tonight, we will be hearing from the President of the United States in his State of the Union address, the first official one in his second term as president here before both chambers there. That's expected to happen at 9 o'clock tonight. And then after that, we're going to be hearing the rebuttal from Virginia Governor Abigail Spanberger. She is expected to deliver that address that was recorded from Williamsburg, right here within our area. And so we're expecting to hear from her, the new governor, first woman of the state of Virginia here. And so it'll be interesting to see exactly what the two have to say here tonight. Before we get into a little bit of the expectations of tonight when it comes to what we might hear and what chords both might try to strike, let's listen to what one of the Democrats says that he thinks should be discussed leading into the State of the Union. We have an interview that was just done with Congressman Bobby Scott. And Scott actually joined by his guest for tonight's address, who is a home care worker and a member of a Virginia working union who lost her health insurance due to Republicans' refusal to extend the Affordable Care Act. That's according to Scott. Okay, before we get into that, live news is happening. We're actually going to go to the GOP because we just saw that House Speaker Mike Johnson step to the podium. So let's listen to him first, and then we'll show you the interview with Congressman Scott.
Better overtime games and the excitement and euphoria that happened afterwards. Millions of people watched those games across the world. And what a great moment it was for America. And it reminded us that we're all on the same team. And we hope that everyone will keep that in mind tonight, because we are. The president called me Sunday night and he said, Mike, we got to make some changes. We need some more guests. Okay, well, you know, the State of the Union is a very well-attended event, and the gallery is already full, and we have waiting lists of people that want to be there. I said, Mr. President, how many people are you talking about? I think the whole team. Okay, well, so we're going to work out logistics, and somehow, some way, we'll squeeze in the hockey players tonight, and it'll be a great moment for America. And it really is a symbol to all of us that we all play for America's team. And I hope everybody will remember that tonight, even as we stand in the midst of yet another painful and unnecessary Democrat shutdown of the government. I mean, it's almost unbelievable to us. Not one, not two, but now 3 government shutdowns in just the last 100 days. What in the world are they thinking? This time they've taken hostage, as you know, the Department of Homeland Security. The department that is literally in its name, it's very indicative of its duties. It keeps Americans safe. And so funding for the agencies that protect our borders and mitigate disasters and help keep all of us able to walk down the streets without fear. That's the agency they've chosen to hold hostage. Well before the funding deadline, Republicans, as you know, worked in good faith to pass a year-long, full-year funding for DHS, and we did that through a bipartisan committee process. Democrats in both the House and the Senate negotiated on that, and now Democrats in both chambers have reneged on that bipartisan deal. Just 1 week into this, the consequences of Democrat shutdown are already painfully clear. Look at FEMA. Their operations are really important right now. If they haven't noticed, we have an historic season of winter storms slamming the East Coast, even as we speak, in the northern parts. TSA is having to make difficult resource decisions, as you've seen, and agents working another week without pay. Some of those are high-stress positions. It's not right. It's not fair. The Secret Service, as you know, is charged among its other duties of protecting the president. And yet another armed attempt was made on his life just this weekend. This is not a game. I don't need to remind anybody. 2026 is an historic year for our country, and it'll be a great year of celebration. It'll be a part of the big golden era, the 250th celebration, our birthday. But you're going to have, during the year, tens of millions of guests. We're hosting the FIFA World Cup in 11 cities around America. We have festivals and tournaments and so many highly attended, high-profile events around the country. Obviously, we need the protection of a fully funded Department of Homeland Security. We shouldn't even have to say that. This gambit that Democrats are involved in is as foolish as it is dangerous. They cannot hold up that critical funding any longer. There is planning that's required for these events. There's all sorts of logistics involved and personnel as well. And it's time for Democrats to do their job before they risk the literal lives of the American people any further. Now, tonight, the president will deliver his State of the Union, and he said, as a preview, it may be a little long because there's a lot to talk about. There's a lot of wins to tout, and he's excited to do that. I'm honored to have with me one of my several guests, Trotter Hunt, who's standing here next to me. He's from Ruston, Louisiana, in my district. His business, like so many American businesses and some of the others represented here this morning, is already benefiting from our historic, big, beautiful working families tax cut. And certainty that he gets from this is what our pro-business tax cuts and incentives have delivered. And that's very helpful for everybody. We're grateful to Trotter for making the trip, and I'm honored to host him in the chamber tonight, so thank you for being here and bringing your beautiful wife and representing our district so well. This evening, the entire country will hear an update on the full scope of President Trump's transformational and historic first year back in office. The results speak for themselves. Why does he have so much to talk about? Because inflation's down, wages are up, investment is booming, the GDP is exceeding every expectation. Democrats, meanwhile, are going to host, count them, 5 separate counter events, rallies of some sort, they call them, in lieu of tonight's address. For all of these theatrics, it doesn't matter how many little gatherings they have or where they stand or how high the volume is on the microphones. They have nothing to offer, nothing but their TDS agenda, the Trump derangement syndrome, and it's on full display.
Okay, that's House Speaker Mike Johnson speaking ahead of tonight's State of the Union address. A few things to note there. He mentioned the partial government shutdown currently taking place, impacting the Department of Homeland Security and other agencies. And a big part of that is because, if you remember a few weeks ago when we were reporting this, Democrats and Republicans could not come to an agreement on funding for the DHS. And that came on the heels of what we were seeing unfold across the country, but mainly in Minnesota and Minneapolis, where ICE officials had shot and killed 2 people, in Renee Good and Alex Preddy. And that led to a lot of backlash with that major operation happening in that city. It has since been scaled back significantly right within the last week and a half. However, that came at a pivotal time in which the deadline for Republicans and Democrats to reach a deal on funding the government came. And that played a huge part for both sides there in being able to negotiate. It sounds like at this point that House Speaker Mike Johnson, they want to get those negotiations back up and going, but it's unclear at this point when the two sides will be able to reach any kind of understanding on what they want, as Democrats have been very specific about some of the things that they want to see before they agree to funding DHS at the level in which has currently been proposed for that. He also spoke about how the length that we can expect to hear from President Trump tonight in his own kind of way, saying that it could be a long-winded speech. Well, that's not anything out of the norm when it comes to President Trump. He is consistently in his State of the Union addresses, dating both of his presidencies, been amongst the longer speeches that we see in the State of the Union. Just last year, we saw more than an hour and 30 minutes. In the past, he's done about an hour and 20 minutes. So you can expect at least, I would say, somewhere in the ballpark of 90 minutes, maybe more. So we will see how long it will be because, as Speaker Johnson says, they have a lot to discuss. And as I said previously, after the president gives his speech, we will then hear from the governor of Virginia, Abigail Spanberger, with the Democratic rebuttal. She was chosen to deliver those remarks just months after becoming the governor here in Virginia, after being elected, really just a month after being sworn in as governor. And so she'll have the tall task of speaking on behalf of the Democrats across the nation with what they are thinking in terms of the state of our union. You can imagine there will be a lot of conversation about affordability tonight, about immigration enforcement tonight, a lot of those things from both sides you can expect to hear today. And one person who is going to be there here from Virginia is Congressman Bobby Scott. Bobby Scott, as I told you, he will have a guest with him, a home care worker. Her name is Renee Bumbry Graves, who says that she lost her health insurance due to the Affordable Care Act premium tax credits not being extended. Remember, that was the focal point of that first and now historic government shutdown. So our own Jeremiah Beatty interviewed Scott just about an hour and a half ago, and he spoke to her about what he hopes to hear tonight, but really probably about his thoughts on the state of our union.
Why was it important for you to bring Rena Bumbray Graves with you to the State of the Union address tonight?
Well, Rena represents an example of the damage done by the healthcare premiums not being continued. We had a major tax bill. We could have easily inserted that to continue them, but the Republicans decided to end the enhanced premiums. And as a result, her premiums went from $544 to $1,300, which she could not afford, and now she's uninsured. And this is the story of millions of people across the country.
Yeah. And I know it represents so many, but when you thinking about her story, what touches you the most?
Well, what touches me the most is we could certainly afford it. We had a bill that put us over $4 trillion more in debt. Extending the premiums for 10 years would have only cost $300 billion, about 10% of the additional debt that the big ugly bill put us into. So it was easily affordable. We could have done it, and yet this kind of pain is being inflicted not only on the people that lose their insurance, but because we have millions more uninsured, that'll affect everybody's insurance because they will get sick, go to the hospital, and not pay. Who pays? The next person that goes will be charged a little extra to compensate for that, for the fact that someone was uninsured. So everyone will be adversely affected by this, but certainly most directly those that can't afford the new premiums.
And you could go to this address tonight by yourself. What goal does having her in the room accomplish?
Well, it focuses attention on the actions of this administration since he's been in office. Millions of people will be losing their insurance as a direct result of actions of this administration. The big ugly bill takes health care away from millions of people on Medicaid. The failure to include the enhanced tax credits for those on the Affordable Care Act will cost millions more of their insurance. And because of those millions of additional people uninsured in the healthcare system, everybody else's premiums will go up because people not paying shifts the cost to those that are paying. So everyone will be disadvantaged because of the actions of this administration. And just as an example, Rena's experience where her premium will go up, would have gone up from $544 to $1,300, which she could not afford, and she is now uninsured.
Hearing her story, just she's having to make a lot of tough choices because of that and live in fear if something bad happens. My next question is, if the president talks about the economy or healthcare, what will you be listening for?
I'll be listening to how he explains the number of jobs created in his first 12 months in office. He created fewer jobs in a whole year than Joe Biden created in an average month during his 4 years of a presidency. I'll be looking to see how he explains that, how he explains the cost of living going up as a direct result of his tariffs, on and off, but certainly upward pressure on prices. So affordability is a major effort. I'm sure Governor Spanberger will be talking about that in her response, how she is working to reduce the cost of living, whereas President Trump is a direct result of his actions increasing the cost of living.
Do you think there's a chance the president could possibly win the hearts or change some hearts tonight? And if he is able to do that, what do you think people need to hear?
Well, first of all, I think he probably will win some hearts because of what he says, but when they fact check what he says, they'll find out that he didn't tell the truth. He is notorious for not telling the truth. And in one debate with, we calculated 30 questions, they calculated that he told 30 lies. He is not, the number of false statements he's made, for those keeping track, is in the tens of thousands over the course of his first and second presidency. So I expect him to do well until he's fact-checked.
Then just to kind of tie it back to the local impact, for people in your district who could be facing, higher premium costs, how many people in your district could be facing increases like Rena's?
Tens of thousands of people will be losing their insurance as a direct result of the actions of this administration. Costs are going up because of the tariffs. Jobs are being lost because of the economic policies of this administration. The worst job performance of any president in modern history. We'll be looking forward to see how he explains all that.
You kind of already touched on that question. Do you think the president will be open to hearing from people like Rena? I know you're not him, but
The president has shown no interest in healthcare. In fact, the Republicans have shown no interest in providing healthcare. They have spent the entire year taking insurance away. Tens of millions of people, over 10 million people in Medicaid, 5 million people in the Affordable Care Act, losing their insurance after years of hard work to try to get people insured. This is the legacy of the Republican Party and this president. And so for those who like insurance, they can't like what they've done and would be interested in what he's going to say about it in this State of the Union address.
In the end, when on my report today, talking about, Rena joining you at this address, what do you want people to know? What's the most important thing you want to highlight here?
Well, what we want highlighted is this: that she represents a live example of the results of the policy of this administration. Live people will lose their insurance and become uninsured as a direct result of premiums going up from $544 to $1,300. If you had a reasonably tight budget, but were making it, that additional expense was just unaffordable. And so she is now uninsured, and if she gets sick or something, has to go to the hospital, that'll be out of her pocket. That's what happens when you implement the kind of policies that the Republicans in this administration are doing.
So that was Congressman Bobby Scott ahead of tonight. And again, he's going to have a guest. Her name is Renee. She's going to be with them during that State of the Union tonight. We do have more on that, including from a political expert, Larry Sabato, speaking on what we should expect to hear from both President Trump and from Abigail Spanberger. We'll get to that a little bit later, but right now we need to go live to Washington, D.C., where a little over a year after one of the deadliest plane crashes in American history, the families of victims of that DCA mid-air collision between a military helicopter and a American Airlines plane, they are speaking right now, urging lawmakers to pass aviation reform. This comes as the House is expected to vote today on what is called the Rotor Act, which would demand that military and commercial aircraft use certain tracking technology to avoid collisions. The Pentagon just taking back its support of this bill, saying that it would create significant unresolved budgetary issues, burdens, and operation security risk affecting national defense activities. These families believe this needs to take place. Remember, 67 people died in that crash in January of 2025. With that, we're going to go to the families of those victims.
And the NTSB chair testified under oath that it would have prevented this collision. The Rotor Act takes a critical step forward by ensuring that safety technology is not just available, but operational and used for the purpose it was designed to serve. The best time to make these changes was years ago. The next best time is today. Pass the Rotor Act. We thank you for your commitment to protecting the flying public.
Thank you, Laura, and thank you for your very accurate summary of the opposition to the bill on the House floor yesterday. We'll next hear from Audrey Patel.
My name is Audrey Patel, and I am here today because my husband, Vic Patel, is not. He should have been here for his 34th and 35th birthdays. He was not. He should have been here to celebrate our first wedding anniversary. He was not. He should have been here for the birth of our son, our first and now only child. He was not. Vic's future was stolen from him. One of his greatest dreams was to become a father. And now our son will have to learn the word daddy from looking at a photo. I'm here because my husband was among those lost in the midair collision at DCA last year. To be honest, lost feels too gentle of a word for the brutal and public way Vic and 66 other souls were torn from this world. In the weeks and months following the accident, it became more and more clear that this kind of brutal loss could happen again. In the 13 months since the accident, there have been near misses at airports all around the country. And the main cause for this collision, a complete inability for the two aircraft to see each other. With the information available to them, the crews didn't have a fighting chance to avoid what was virtually invisible. This is why I urge our representatives to vote yes on the Rotor Act today. We know why this happened and how to prevent it. The Rotor Act is ready now with the highest impact safety measures for preventing midair collisions. The best way to honor the victims and their families is to finally move forward with ADSB in through the Rotor Act. Then, the remaining NTSB recommendations with the Alert Act when it's ready. Rotor is not the only step. It is the first step, and it's time to take that step today. Thank you.
Thank you, Audrey, very much. We'll next hear from Sherry Lilly.
Thank you. On January 29, 2025, First Officer Sam Lilly reported for work to do something he loved, to fly safely and to transport precious souls from one place to another for work or recreation, to reunite them with family members. That did not happen on January 29, 2025. 67 lives were lost that night, and Audrey's correct. Loss is too gentle of a word. But we are here primarily, my husband and I, because of Sam. However, we're also here for these crew members. We're here for the crew members of PAT 25, 3 individuals who were faithfully serving our nation. And we're also here for all of the passengers on Flight 5342, bright futures that were lost on that night. This is also about every single family that trusts our national airspace each time they board an aircraft. We cannot change what happened that night, but we can take action today. We can decide what happens next. That is up to the elected members in the House. Later today, they will have an opportunity to vote on the Rotor Act. The NTSB conducted a thorough, independent investigation. They analyzed data, systems, policies, and procedures. Their recommendations are clear, informed, and grounded in science. The Rotor Act advances the most critical recommendations of the NTSB recommendations out of the final report. Specifically, ADSBN with a clear mandate, as well as repealing Section 373 of the NDAA that allows the military to approve waivers to operate without ADSB out operational. This is not partisan. It's not political. This is about human beings, and it's about aviation safety. My husband, Tim, is an experienced Army helicopter pilot. He flew this very route. He is also type rated on a CRJ. He is a commercial aviation, private aviation now, fixed wing pilot. He and I have spent the last year engaging with aviation professionals, legislators, and regulators. We're not speaking from emotion alone. We're speaking from data, systems knowledge, and from an understanding of how these layered safety systems must work together. We cannot allow these known risks to remain unaddressed. As a result, we urge every member to vote today, yes, on the Rotor Act. We urge leadership to ensure swift passage and full implementation. We urge the responsible agencies to act with urgency because implementation matters as much as passage of this legislation. Safety delayed is safety denied. Safety that should have been in place on January 29, 2025. Sam believed in professionalism, discipline, and continuous improvement. That is what aviation demands, and that is why our families are here advocating. Rotor Act is just a first step. Alert can come alongside and through markup provide a companion act to implement the other recommendations of the NTSB. The families who lost loved ones on January 29th deserve action, not delay. Please take action today. Thank you.
Thank you, Sherry, very much. We'll next hear from Doug Lane, Rhode Island.
My name is Doug Lane. I lost my wife, Christine, and my son, Spencer. He was 16 on Flight 5342. In the days following the collision, I sat alongside these and other family members in hours-long NTSB briefings, desperately trying to understand how it was possible for something like this to happen. And the more I learned about how the evening of January 29th 2025 unfolded, the less any of it made sense to me. I was shocked by how much of the burden of avoiding mid-air collisions falls into the hands of pilots and air traffic controllers, humans, operating under tremendous task pressure, communicating over fragmented and incomplete radio transmissions. It was inconceivable to me that in the age of GPS-enabled smartphones in every pocket, that there was no way for pilots flying aircraft with price tags in the tens of millions of dollars to see visually whether other aircraft in the airspace were on a collision course. What I soon learned is that this technology does exist, and it has for decades. ADS-B-In is not emerging technology like you so disingenuously heard it so just disingenuously described on the House floor yesterday. It's mature and proven technology that the NTSB has been recommending for 20 years. But the aviation industry and military are dragging its feet on its adoption, and the FAA has ignored repeated recommendations from the NTSB to make ADS-B-In mandatory. This piece of paper I'm holding is dated February 14th, 2008. It's a letter from the NTSB to the FAA commenting on their rulemaking process for ADS-B. It attempts to correct the FAA's flawed assumption that ADS-B-In is not required to keep our airspace safe. They noted the equipage of aircraft with ADS-B-In capability will provide an immediate and substantial contribution to safety, especially during operations in and around airports. Does that sound familiar? "154 days after this letter was written, my son Spencer was born. He lived life at full speed, always chasing adventure, human connection, and ever more ambitious challenges, all of which he found living out his dream as a competitive figure skater. 16 years, 6 months, and 12 days after this letter was written, he was dead. 363 days after that, I learned from the NTSB that ADS-B-In, recommended in a letter before he was born, would have saved his life, my wife's life, and 65 other beautiful people. The FAA had a lifetime to get ADS-B right in their safety recommendations and in their requirements and rulemaking process. They had Spencer's entire life to get this right through rulemaking. They failed. And we are not going to let ADS-B go off to rulemaking again. The Alert Act that you heard so much about on the House floor yesterday does not address ADS-B-In. It sends it to backroom rulemaking processes and committees stacked with special interests who will pick it apart until it dies a slow death. They killed ADS-B-In in that way before, and they will do it again if we let them. That's the playbook that they are running here. Mandatory ADS-B-In equipage for all aircraft that are already required to broadcast ADS-B-In out must be written into law. The Rotor Act, and only the Rotor Act, does this. Please honor the 67 people who lost their lives in this 100% avoidable tragedy by passing the Rotor Act today.
Thank you, Doug, very much. I'll now hear from the great Congressman James Walkinshaw from Fairfax.
Thank you. I want to thank Congressman Beyer for his incredible leadership on this issue, and I especially want to thank all of the family members who, in the midst of their grief, have been tireless advocates to make every single American safer. The unimaginable losses they've endured didn't come from a natural disaster. It's entirely preventable. It was caused by failure over many years by the FAA, Defense Department, industry, to take action in the face of alarm bell after alarm bell after alarm bell. We knew the airspace was dangerous. Rank and file controllers who raised concerns were ignored after begging for policies that could mitigate the risks. Industry was allowed to stack more and more flights into a dangerous airspace, guaranteeing that it would ultimately become deadly, as it has in the past. It was a collective failure that brought about a tragedy and terrible loss that can never be undone. But we can honor the memory and the legacy of those who were lost and the surviving family members who are here with us today by taking action. Every single member of Congress, every single member of the House of Representatives today owes it to these families to pass the Rotor Act and mandate the safety upgrades that we know would have prevented this tragedy and will prevent the next tragedy. We don't need another working group. We don't need more studies. We don't need more rulemaking. We have a clear path of action, and the Rotor Act is the critical first step in that clear path of action. Every American should be thankful and grateful that because of the families of Flight 5342, we can all be safer if the House does its part in taking the first step today. Thank you.
Thank you, James, very much. We'll next hear from Debbie Epstein.
Thank you. On January 29, 2025, our loved one, Flight Attendant Ian Epstein, along with fellow crew members Denisha, Jonathan, and Sam, and 64 passengers that he was tasked to take care of on Flight 5342, never made it home that day. Ian was the love, fun, and laughter of our family. I could stand here and tell you of all the one-time things that we've had to go forward and now miss with having him as part of our family, but more important today is to address things that we can take care of today. As a country, we tend to be reactionary. We wait for a catastrophic event to occur before we address main root issues that are out there that people knew about, but just were not willing to address. Today, we have the opportunity to pass the Rotor Act, which addresses some of the main core issues that caused that catastrophic event of Flight 5342. I would like to see the House of Representatives today be proactive for one time and pass that Rotor Act today. We can address the other issues down the line. That's what we do as a country. We add, as time goes on, necessary elements that needed to be added. But the most important thing today is to be proactive as a country. Stop another catastrophic event from happening before it happens. Pass the Rotor Act today.
Thank you, Debbie. Yesterday, Congressman Subramaniam, Congressman Waukesha, Congressman Amo, and I, Congressman Nels, all spoke as best we could about why passing the Rotor Act was so important to do today. I just wish our rules allowed the family members to speak, because they did a very, very good job, a more persuasive job. I can't imagine a member of Congress voting no after hearing what you had to say. We're now going to move on to our organization partner, and we have Jason Ambrosi from the Airline Pilots Association speaking. Jason.
Thank you, sir. I'm Captain Jason Ambrosi, President of the Airline Pilots Association International. On behalf of 80,000 pilots in the United States and Canada, I am proud to stand with the families of PSA Flight 5342 and bipartisan members of Congress to call for the passage of the Rotor Act. 59 seconds versus 19. That's the difference the NTSB says ADS-BN could have made for PSA 5342, saving 67 lives. On January 29th, 2025, we lost 2 members of our union, Captain Jonathan Campos and Honorary Captain Sam Lilly. I'm honored that the Lillys and so many of the loved ones are here with us today. This tragedy highlights a hard truth. Improvements are needed now to ensure no other families feel the same pain as those with us here today. This accident was preventable, and preventing the next one is now a test of leadership. The Rotor Act will require ADS-B, a surveillance technology, as you've heard, that pilots can view on their flight deck display, providing real-time traffic alerts, as recommended by the NTSB. This technology could have alerted the pilots of the imminent collision, giving them time to avoid it. Congress has an obligation to honor their memory of who we lost a year ago and take action now. We call on the House to pass the Rotor Act without delay. Then let's work together on the Alert Act to address the remaining NTSB recommendations. This really shouldn't be difficult. All of the above for safety, not one or the other. This tragedy, again, came down to a difference of 59 seconds versus 19. ADS-B and the Rotor Act will give every pilot the awareness and then that time we need to prevent tragedy.
Captain, thank you very much. We're now willing to take questions, and please remember that the chair of the NTSB, Jen Hamady, is with us also. Yes, please.
Will Guy, the Air Current. If the bill were to fail this afternoon, what is your path forward? Do you expect a conference with alert, or how are you going to do that?
I'm not sure what the path forward would be. At a minimum, we would be looking at the Alert Act and trying to add NTSB in and out to the Alert Act. But we also, as many people, veterans know here, they don't always pass the first time. We're very hopeful that this will pass today. It went through the Senate unanimously, as we've heard. But we're not going to give up. We will play again. We will likely have a different Congress next year, and we will keep pushing until this happens. Yes, please.
Dave Shepherdson from Reuters. Can you address the last-minute concerns the Pentagon raised about the bill and whether it would propose on, excessive costs or impact national security?
Let me just ask, are any of my colleagues on HASC? No. I was going to defer to somebody on armed services, but there's obviously the concern in the past was why they had the exemption, and I think it was explained that when you're actually evacuating the president or the vice president, you probably need ADS-B off, but there's a national emergency. But all the times that they're practicing, which is what they were doing, and certifying, making sure that there's no reason to have it off at all. So and by the way, the lead sponsors, Congressman Onder, Senator Cruz, et cetera, had worked closely with the Department of Defense in the run-up to this. And it was a surprise to hear this at the last minute, that somehow Secretary Hegseth and his team had some objections to it. So we're very disappointed in that. Obviously eager to work with them, but we don't understand the concern. Yes, please.
Related to that, have you had conversations with members since the Pentagon shared their concerns, and what have you said to them about why, even since the Pentagon released that statement, they should still vote yes for this act?
I have not. Most people didn't come in yesterday because of the snowstorm, so we're just gathering. We have lots of time today, including time on the floor, to persuade people that this is inappropriate.
And so what would then be your message? If they see this statement from the Pentagon, why are you still going to say please vote yes?
Well, I think we just put it in overall context that there was no reason for in the helicopter that night not to have ADS-B out and in on. They were just practicing. They were recertifying some of the people on the team. The notion that somehow a terrorist is sophisticated enough to track a practice flight and know exactly what's going to happen 3 years from now or perhaps never is just not meaningful. By the way, our families and the pilots are most willing to answer questions too if you have them.
I do have a question for the pilots. Just how much would ADSBN, if it was on all the time, make your life easier and safer?
Again, it's as simple as 59 seconds versus 19 in that situation. This is not emerging technology as some others have briefed. I also fly general aviation, and general aviation airplanes have this. My airliner does not. It's almost crazy that it does not. So this is technology that helps our situational awareness. And to the question of military operations in our complex and busy airspace, go find somewhere else to fly if you don't want to report your location. But if you're in our kind of airspace, near DCA or take New York or take anywhere, you want to operate in that airspace, you need to be telling us your position so that I don't lose crew members and these folks don't lose family members. That's my opinion.
Congressman Beyer, the bill today is coming up on a suspension vote. Do you think that there's any chance that, because that requires a 2/3 threshold, that if the vote doesn't meet that 2/3, that House leadership might bring it up for a majority vote later on, or is that something you would want to see from Speaker?
Yeah. That's a really important question for those who are not obsessive on how the House floor works. In a suspension vote, we need 290 votes out of 435. It might be one or two less because we're missing a member. That's a big challenge. It comes over that way because it came through the Senate unanimously. If it doesn't get the 2/3 vote, I certainly think all of us will do our damnedest to make sure that the House puts it on the floor through a rule, which means it would need a simple majority. And if we, for example, fall a few votes short, come in at 240 or something like that, there'll be every reason to think that it would pass on a majority vote. And therefore, we'd have to push to overcome the chairman of the Transportation Infrastructure Committee's objections. But we want the will of the people to prevail. Yes, please.
And then for the families, any of the families, I know Doug mentioned the letter all those years ago about ADSB and what it could have done. When you hear the congressman talk about what if this does not pass today, could you speak to why, in your view, this needs to happen today and not at a later vote?
We can go together. My name is Amy Hunter. It is unconscionable that we are having to be here right now. It is unconscionable. We should not have to be here. Repeat your question.
The importance of it happening today.
Because if it passes today and President Trump signs it, it goes into action immediately. If we wait, we are all of you all are flying. Your families are all flying. You run exactly the same risk, but you know about it now. It has to pass today. Thank you.
I just want to add one point to what Amy said. Even if the Rotor Act passes today, this ADSBN technology will not make its way through the entire airspace until 2031. So just getting this passed today is a starting point. If we wait longer, that date's going to get pushed out. And as I mentioned earlier in my remarks, the alternative approaches that are being proposed to dealing with this do not require ADSBN. But what they do is they require a whole bunch of different industry groups to get together with the FAA, behind closed doors, mind you, to hash this out, and everyone has a chance to kind of weaken it or carve out exceptions for their type of aircraft. And this is what's happened in the past. The NTSB has recommended this 17 times prior to our collision. So we can't just go follow the same process again, only behind closed doors this time, and expect that we're going to get a different result. It has to be written into law in order for this to actually happen. If it doesn't, it's just going to go to a black hole and die.
Did we hear from the NTSB chair on the recommendations of ADSB?
Yeah, can I do a gaggle afterwards? That'd be better.
Yeah. The chair is not allowed to lobby on specific bills.
I can't lobby, but I can talk about our position on different things. I just have to do it afterwards.
Great. Thank you all very much. Let me from all the members of Congress, a heartfelt thanks to all the family members for sharing your passion, your energy, your not just your loss, the tragedy that you experienced, and using that tragedy to change the future for every American, perhaps people all around the world. If this passes today, it's totally your credit. And if it doesn't pass today, we will keep working with you until it does become law. And thank all of you for staying with us today. Thank you. Thank you very much.
The person you were seeing there speaking at the end, that is Virginia Congressman Don Beyer there. You were just listening to relatives of victims of that deadly midair collision in Washington, D.C. a little more than a year ago, January of 2025. 67 people died in that. And you heard they are pushing for the House today to sign the Rotor Act. This would mandate certain technology on military and on passenger commercial aircraft that would have certain tracking technology to avoid collisions like this. Remember, we learned from federal officials just a few weeks ago within the NTSB that a part of what caused this crash, this midair collision, there was the fact that there was not the necessary kind of equipment that could have helped both sides know that the others were there. The passenger plane had that, but the military helicopter did not. But there's a bigger scope there. That quote that you heard there at the very end saying that, hey, if this passes today and the president signs it, we can make changes immediately. If not, we are all flying with the same risks. We just know about it now. Part of what that speaks to is that this is not a standalone event in terms of how close these two aircrafts came. In this case, they obviously collided, a devastating result. But that airport had reportedly had 85 near misses in the 3 years prior to the crash. There have been lawmakers, including right here in Illinois, with Senator Warner speaking out for a long time prior to this deadly collision about the issues with the traffic above DCA, Reagan National Airport. Okay, so these families say something needs to be done. This needs to pass. It's already passed in the Senate, and now is the House's turn. They're expected to take it up for a vote today, and if that happens, then it will go to the president. But we have learned now that the Pentagon apparently has pulled its support of the Rotor Act, as I told you prior to this, citing, quote, significant unresolved budgetary burdens and operation security risk affecting national defense activities. So it is still to be seen whether or not the House will pass this Rotor Act bill into the next phase so they can go to the president's desk. But those families, including the wife of a man who died on that plane, who was 33 years old, 2 weeks prior to that crash, you just learned that he and his wife were going to be having their first and only child. They want something to be done, and that something today is for this bill to be passed by the House. So we'll have much more here on Live Impact News. We're going to take a break, and on the other side, we'll have more of these live events, including a few trials that are happening right now. Right now in Utah, the trial is underway in the case against Corey Richens. That is the woman accused of poisoning to death her husband, 39-year-old Eric Richens, in 2022, saying that she used a poisoned cocktail with a lethal dose of fentanyl inside of it to kill him. Prosecutors saying that she did this for financial gain. Now, yesterday we showed you the opening statements of this, and now we have witnesses who are testifying in this particular case. So let's go ahead and head inside the courtroom. Again, this is in Utah in the case against Corey Richens.
10-2.
If you would have this version of 10-2 be the one that gets admitted.
Shall do, Your Honor.
All right. We'll publish 10-2 as amended by the state. I appreciate that right now.
Okay, so you say you, once the body and any other things that you put in there, what other things might you put in with the body?
Any identification such as driver's license, if there was any medication with his name on it, that would have also went to the medical examiner's office.
So in this case, those 2 driver's licenses were packaged?
Correct.
Okay. Now, I'd like you to turn your attention to 10-3, please. Do you see that?
Yes.
Do you recognize that?
I recognize the tag. It appears that photo was taken at the medical examiner's office.
Okay. Were you at the medical examiner's office?
No, sir.
Is the body bag and the seal on the zipper accurately depicted as you last saw it?
Yes.
In that photograph? State would offer State's Exhibit 10-3.
Any objection to 10-3, counsel?
Sorry, Judge, I just want to make sure. We're not going to object. I think it's going to come in through another witness, which I would feel more comfortable. I don't see any objection now. That's
okay.
I can cross-examine her if I have any questions. Thank you, Judge.
10-3 is admitted and published.
Yes, Your Honor. Okay, so what you're talking about then, may I have permission for the witness to step down and just point out?
Yeah, one moment.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, watch your step, please.
Can you just show the jury how you looped that together?
Yes, is this working? Okay. As you can see, there's the 2 zippers right here with the tag that cannot be taken apart unless it's cut.
Okay. Perfect. And that's the way you saw it when you last saw the decedent in the body bag. That was how it looked?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. You can return to your seat.
Thank you.
So what happened next after you've sealed the body of Eric Richens in that body bag? What happens next?
I escorted the body bag out with the transport team. Once the decedent was in the van, that's the end of my role.
Okay. And what's the transport team?
It's a team that we contracted with at the time with Summit County that is just responsible for moving decedents from scenes to the medical examiner's office or wherever they need to go.
Okay, perfect. I have no further questions for this witness.
Judge, I don't think I'll need to go on this. Do we need a break?
Folks want to keep going? Okay.
No further questions?
Understood.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. Mr. Ramos is stepping up.
That is all that, oh, he is stepping up.
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry. It was a bit, no, I was just shocked that you didn't have questions.
You and my wife, both.
Ms. Larson,
Yes.
how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. This is wild that this would be your first crime scene that you're showing up to.
Yes.
Memorable, to say the least.
Yes.
Okay. I want to ask you a couple questions about what an OME investigator does.
Okay.
Okay. We kind of, Mr. Burmester kind of touched on it, and as I understand it, correct me if I'm wrong, your role as an OME investigator is to show up to a crime scene and document the body and anything you feel important.
Correct.
That includes photographing.
Correct.
And gathering any type of belongings, as we saw.
Correct.
Identifying the deceased.
Correct.
You indicated gathering prescriptions, perhaps?
Correct.
Okay. And in that training, you indicated that you were working alongside with the Summit County Sheriff's Office.
Correct.
And it was Miss Gibson as well as Miss Woody.
Correct.
Now, when you say work alongside, are you part of the same? You guys have the same role, or when you say you were working together, it's just, hey, I'm doing my thing, you're doing your thing. If you see something, let me know, kind of thing. Could you explain that a little bit more to me?
My role for medical examining investigator is just the decedent. Their role would be to do any evidence and investigation.
Okay, and so when you're talking about gathering or looking in the trash cans, was that something that they requested?
Yes.
Okay. Now, this was your first one. Is that, since then, I guess, or even that day, did that seem odd to you?
At the time, it didn't seem odd. It didn't seem odd to me.
You said at the time. Did it seem odd now?
No, I think that I would just stick to my role next time.
Right. Now, what's the date today? 24th? Yeah, a year ago today, you were actually, you had an interview with the Summit County Sheriff's Office, right?
I don't remember if it was a year ago today, but yes.
Okay. Can I show you something just to see if you recognize it?
Yes.
And I just look at it. You don't have to read the whole thing. Just let me know if you recognize it, and then maybe find the date.
I do recognize it. It says February 24th, 2025.
And is that yours?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Does that, having reviewed that, does that refresh your recollection as to whether or not you had a meeting?
Yes.
Okay. Now, at that time, a year ago today, were you still employed as an OME investigator, or had you moved on?
I was still employed, however, I was with a different jurisdiction.
Okay. Still as an OME investigator, though?
Correct.
Okay. And this is common to come back about, I don't know how long, 3 years after, to have some follow-up conversation?
This would be my first time.
That was your first time?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And we talked a little bit about the reason that the Summit County Attorney's Office asked you to come in, correct? They had questions about what you found in the garbage.
Correct.
Correct? And we mentioned the Cock and Bull beer. It is very distinct, a little chubby one, very good. Now, you clarified during that meeting, though, your involvement with Corey, right?
Yes.
And specifically, you talked about how you really only had one conversation with her, right?
Correct.
And that was in, I believe, her child's bedroom?
Correct.
And it was to sit down with her and tell her what's going to happen.
Correct.
Like what the protocol is, right?
Yes.
Okay. And you indicated during that conversation, you indicated that she was crying, correct?
Correct.
And she had her hands on her face, correct?
Correct.
And and you gave her the number and the contact information for whoever she needed to call, correct?
Correct.
Now, I want to go back to the day of March 4th, okay? You were asked, again, this was your first time, to go look at the garbage cans, right?
Yes.
Now, I imagine you found this on the main floor, correct?
I believe so.
Did you ever go downstairs?
No.
Okay, so you didn't know if there was another kitchen or anything down there?
No.
Okay. So where you found the Cock and Bull ginger beer bottle, that was in the kitchen trash can?
Correct.
Okay. Now, that's by the sink, correct? By the kitchen sink, sorry.
I don't remember where the
Okay.
trash can was.
Fair. Do you remember at all seeing any, are you familiar with Moscow Mule cups? Copper mutts?
I am now.
You are now. Do you remember seeing any of those?
No.
And even, to be fair, the meeting you had a year ago, you came in, spoke with the Summit County Sheriff's Office. You even told them, I was like, I haven't even heard anything about this case since. I haven't followed it, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Now, that was the only conversation you had with Ms. Richens, correct?
Correct.
You didn't have, it's not your job, and you didn't gather any evidence in terms of what happened, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Maybe you overheard things, right?
Yes.
Okay. I want to ask you about this one document. Just to see if you remember it. Take a look at that. Take your time. Let me know if you remember it.
Yes.
Okay. And the Summit County Attorney's Office asked you about your report, right?
Yes.
And this is during that last meeting a year ago.
Yes.
And you indicated that you didn't recall writing certain things down, correct? Or, I'm sorry, that you don't remember where you got the information. Do you remember that?
I'm sorry, I don't understand.
Let me rephrase. The meeting you had a year ago, where you were brought in, you were asked about your report, your initial report. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Okay. And they asked you about very specific things. Do you remember that?
Yes.
And you told them, I actually don't remember that, where I got that some of that information from. Do you recall that?
Yes.
Okay. So this document that I just showed you right now, the case narrative, is this, I'm just curious how you compile this. Is this something that you yourself write all out?
Yes.
It is. And where do you get that information?
I had gotten some information from the 911 call as well as the detective before writing the report.
And that's exactly my point, is that we know that your job isn't to do any investigation, right?
Correct.
And it's not to interview Ms. Richens and ask her what happened, right?
Correct.
But it is your job to get information, perhaps in this case from EMS or the 911 call, or Detective Woody, or any of the other officers that showed up, right?
Correct.
Now, you're just taking what they're giving you at face value, right?
Correct.
You're not getting it firsthand, correct?
Correct.
So you don't know how truthful it is, correct?
Correct.
And so it's fair to say that while you wrote this, apart from the information that you knew directly, like I showed up, I saw him, I bagged it, this is a number, apart from things that you actually did, it's fair to say that this is a summary or a copy of...
We're going over...
Counsel.
We're going to take a quick break here at this time. You can tell that the witness here is one of their experts looking at the scene itself. And again, in this case, that is against Corey Richens. That is the woman who is accused of killing her husband in 2022 using a lethal dose of fentanyl, poisoning him through a celebratory cocktail that apparently the two had one night that year, March in 2022, with her saying that she wanted to celebrate a recent business success that she had. Now, prosecutors again believe that Richens did this for financial gain. Just looking at some of the finances between the couple there, Eric Richens had an estate worth nearly $5 million at the time of his death. And in 2020, 2 years prior to his death, investigators found that he had met with an attorney for estate planning and removed his wife as the beneficiary to his life insurance policy and chose his sister to manage his trust instead. Prosecutors saying that he made those changes after allegedly discovering his wife was misusing their finances. So they're saying that is a potential reason for the actions they say that Corey Richens took that ultimately led to the death of her husband. And another note there, after his death, she went on to publish a children's book to help kids process grief. And it was a month later that she was booked on those charges. Okay, we're going to have more here on Live Impact News, but we need to take a quick break. Welcome back here to Live Impact News on 13 News Now Plus. Again, if you're watching us live through YouTube, we appreciate you so much. Would love for you to download our 13 News Now Plus app, where you can not only watch this stream live, but all of our content that we have specifically for our app here at 13 News Now. We got to talk about an anniversary today. It marks 4 years since the Russia and Ukraine attack, when Russia invaded Ukraine there 4 years ago. Since then, we have seen nonstop fighting between the two, on and off really here, over the last 4 years. And we know at least 1 million people in Russia have died, more than 600,000 in Ukraine. That brings us close to 2 million overall in the course of this war between the two sides there. Today, we were able to hear from Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, who spoke as we still have not been able to reach any kind of agreement between the two for a long-standing peace, despite attempts by the European Union and the United States to try to broker a deal between the two sides. We'll play a few minutes here of Zelensky sharing his thoughts as we now reach the 4-year mark of this war between the two, and what he thinks it will take in order for them to reach some kind of peace agreement.
I've been coming here regularly throughout the war, and I can honestly say that this time it feels different. The morale is the lowest that I have ever seen it. And I wonder, as things stand, do you believe that Ukraine can still win this war?
We didn't lose our country, our independence and freedom. We have it. Now we speak in the capital. Russia is not winning. This is very important. And everybody is asking how long we can hold the line and how long we can stay.
And how long can you?
You know, it's not about it. We want to do it yesterday. We wanted Putin to stop this war yesterday. And when we speak about how to stop him, first of all, to give Ukraine security guarantees.
So help us understand what is going on with these security guarantees. What is the holdup?
We have mostly everything, I think everything, in the paper, but it's not still signed. It's not signed by the United States. This
Why?
is the first. I think that the United States want to sign security guarantees at the very same moment when the 20 points plan will be accepted by all of us.
And is that a problem for you?
I think it's not the problem, but I think I can tell you what is better.
Right.
For Ukrainians. For me, still is not clear that if Russia will begin aggression against us, what I wanted very much to have in these security guarantees, my question is how partners will react on the aggression of Russia, if it will be. The answer is that it will not be. It's not the answer to me. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
So you want a very specific in-writing guarantee.
I want we have good things in these guarantees. It's true between us. It's true. But I want very specific answer what partners will be ready to do if Putin will come again. And I think this is what Ukrainians want to hear, just want to hear. I'm sorry, it's not pressure, it's just to understand.
If you get those security guarantees, would you be willing to accept a frozen front line whereby Russia keeps the territory that they have already seized?
We already said that we are ready for the compromise to freeze the points where we stay, the places. It's a frozen contact line. We are ready for this. It's not a very good position for us, but in any way we have defending lines. We have these fortifications. But if Russians or partners in dialogue with Russians want just to withdraw our army from our fortifications, I mean this, we can't be such, foolish guys. We are not children.
What would you like to hear from President Trump tomorrow at his State of the Union address?
I want him to stay on our side.
Do you think President Trump would like to see someone else in your job?
I don't know. He didn't tell me.
How is the communication now between the two of you? Obviously, it's not a secret that there have been challenges to that relationship in the past. Have you found an effective way to navigate that relationship?
I think that we had good consultations last time in December, I think so. We have good communication between our group and American group, negotiators, technical groups. We have each day communications with them, by our team, with them. So I think this is good. From this point of view, I think that President Trump and his team, they want to end this war, really.
This woman said to me, I never want to hear the word resilient again. I am so over being resilient. I am so exhausted. I am so broken. What do you tell Ukrainian people right now who are feeling that they're done?
It's very difficult. It's very understandable and painful that we want to end this war as quick as possible. And really, each day we do all we can. I speak with all the partners. I try to negotiate. I'm asking different partners in different continents, help me to stop Putin. But if we will give him all he wants, we will lose everything. Just everything. Our houses, our lives, our families, everything. Because all of us, people, will have to run away from the country or be Russians.
That's President Volodymyr Zelensky of Ukraine there, speaking on this now 4-year anniversary, the 4-year mark since Russians invaded Ukraine and starting this latest war that we've seen. Again, almost 2 million people have died in that conflict, more of those on the Russian side, but it has certainly taken its toll on both countries. The president there you just heard from Ukraine speaking to what it would take for him to say, hey, this is worth of agreeing to some kind of deal. But, he's also been calling for President Trump as of recent to visit into Ukraine, to see what they are experiencing, to see what is happening there in his particular country. And it's interesting because we know that President Trump early on, and even before he was elected president, said that he could end that war in a day. He said it multiple times that he would end the Russian-Ukrainian war in a day. Well, a year and some change into his second term as president, that has not happened. In fact, the president has changed his tune multiple times on both Zelensky and the Russian President Vladimir Putin as well, at times blaming Zelensky for the continuation of the war and reaching out to Putin, and then at other times lashing out at Putin and saying that, hey, how you're going about this is not the way to go. And we've seen the president kind of doing that multiple times, and it now appears that this war is going to obviously continue with no understanding of when it could possibly end. The Kremlin did release a statement here as well, a spokesperson for the Kremlin, saying that the invasion would continue in pursuit of Moscow's goals. That includes a demand that Ukraine renounce its bid to join NATO, sharply cut its army, and cede vast portions of territory. So we'll see. Zelensky, as you heard him say in there, expects to have another fresh round of talks brokered by the U.S. with Russia within the next 2 weeks. We'll see what takes place, if that takes place, and what comes from that as well. But 4 years since this latest conflict began. And again, we are expected to hear from President Trump tonight, 9 o'clock. You can watch his State of the Union address, followed by the rebuttal on the Democratic side by Virginia Governor Abigail Spanberger. We will have that covered for you right here on 13 News Now Plus. And you can follow us here for 13 News Now, and we'll make sure that you get the latest information. Expect a long one tonight. The president has alluded that there could be a lot to talk about, and in the past that's meant at least 90 minutes when it comes to his speech. But we will see what he will say and what the response will be from the Democrats later on tonight. Again, that starts at 9. But for now, that's all we have for you on Live Impact News. Again, I'm Eugene Daniel. Producer Sarah Calloway right there as well. We appreciate you for watching us. Again, if you're on YouTube, download the app 13 News Now Plus. It's free, easy to get for Roku, Amazon Fire, and Apple TV. Up next is 13 News Now at noon with Ashley Smith.